Hello, everybody. Welcome to Women Making Big Sales. Today, I'm going to be talking about design. I'm super excited to have Tamara Romeo coming to join us. She's known as the design boss. She owns the firm San Diego Office Design, helping companies creating amazing, inviting office space so that we bring more employees back to work. Today, I can't wait to talk to her about how she started and her best strategies when it comes to selling to businesses. Hello, Tamara. Welcome to our podcast.
Thank you so much. And that intro was amazing. I really appreciate it.
Yes, I mean, I always love talking to design person because for people who know me, they know that I'm super analytical and creativity is something I often lack. But I see people combining creativity and business and I get super excited. So, Tamara, could you just share with us to start a little bit of your background, how you get started with this amazing journey and known as the design boss?
Sure. Well, I am a very unusual design firm owner in that I actually started my career in advertising and marketing. And I worked for a magazine where I was a branding specialist. So I truly began in sales, selling magazine advertising campaigns to business owners all around San Diego, but mostly in the car industry. So anybody trying to buy or sell a car, the dealerships all around town, I was dealing with the ownership. And if you know anything about car dealers, you know that they're a pretty savvy sales bunch. And so you have to have some slick technique to get in the door and talk to them. And I'll tell you, my key was that I always came to the door with a joke of the day. And so instead of walking in with a sales pitch, I always tried to walk in and make them smile. And that really helped set the tone for that part of my career. So I spent 12 years doing that. And then as print advertising started to decline in about 2008, the internet was just shooting off like a rocket. I saw an opportunity to take my specialized background in advertising and branding and kind of twist it up in a blender and spit it out as corporate design. Truly, I was going to be selling to the same people I was already selling to, which are business owners, right? And I was going to be taking all the knowledge that I had of how to pitch and sell and create relationships with some of the toughest salespeople in the country. And twisting that around to not just automotive industry, but any industry. How do you draw people in? How do you make it feel like a compelling environment that you want to be in? And in about 2009 and 2010, when I started this business, that was not a popular thing. People really saw work as a place that you go to and you just put your head down and you work from 9 to 5, and then you have a meaningful home environment, but you don't expect that from your workplace. And I truly believe that that should just be upside down, that we spend most of our waking hours at work. And so work should be a meaningful, supportive, innovative environment that helps you be the best you can be every day. And that's how I started this company.
That's amazing. And I love the fact that you actually started selling from 2009, even earlier to today. And so many things have changed. So when you started at first with car dealership, and I imagine at that time there was no LinkedIn, there wasn't a lot of technology involved. I was
No,
the same way too. I've been doing this for 20 years as well. So I imagine, I don't know if you did any cold calling. What was the tactics you were doing back then?
it it was rapid cold calling. I got in my car, I drove from dealership to dealership. I had, my front seat loaded with magazines that I was selling campaigns in. And I just showed up at their front door, which is why having a joke was important, because it got me through the door instead of just being another sales girl. I actually had something that, made them want to listen to me, at least initially. And then sales kicked in afterwards. So that was, let's see, I started in that industry at about 1994.
Oh,
So there was no cell phones. Like if I needed to make a phone call, I either had to go back to the office or I had to stop at a phone booth and make a phone call. It was, back in the Stone Age.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Okay, but things have changed and the LinkedIn started and you also pivoted and you created your own design firm. Have your sales tactics changed over the years and what haven't changed? Could you share with us that evolution?
Everything is different. I mean, I guess the one constant between 1994, 96, and today is that my sales style is still relational. So it's all built on getting to know someone, building a relationship with them based on trust, common experiences, and the expertise comes later. So in this business, my sales cycle is very long because people need to get to know me and my style and see my work over a long period of time before they may need to imagine their office space or before they move to a new space. They may be happily working in an office environment for years before they need to sign a new lease or move or attract new staff or grow. So I have a long runway to really um, share my expertise, talk a lot about things that are not sales related. So I spend a lot of time sharing insight, valuable tips and tricks, giving away information without giving too much away. There's that delicate balance,
Exactly.
and just creating a space where people feel like they know, like, and trust me so that when they are ready to buy, I'm the natural choice.
So do you, especially in today's world when a lot of people they are not in their office anymore. So when you used to go to the office and try to find that decision makers. Right now, these decision makers are not there anymore. Do you find yourself do it a little bit differently? How do you sell virtually and
Yeah.
get in front of the decision makers?
I don't do any cold calling or showing up at people's doorsteps. It's been a long time since that was the way to sell. I would say that I build a platform that people visit to find information that I share, and whether that's on LinkedIn or on my website or on virtual ebooks, on video, I try to build. I call them octopus arms, a lot of tentacles out there of information so that people can find what they need and then find their way back to my website or to learn more about me. So it's a very warm and gentle way of selling as opposed to, having a strict regimented step-by-step process. It's much more about sharing, about creating an environment of trust and letting people find me. So I use tools that make that really easy. I use like Calendly for scheduling calls. I create an environment where people can come and see me when I'm doing like speaking about a specific topic of my expertise. And so that creates a true link that helps them to understand not only what value I bring, but also a little bit about my style and the way that I work, so that by the time we actually do talk about solving a problem or creating a solution together for their own office, they feel like they already know me.
Hmm. I love that. From what I can hear, your sales style has really upgraded to a lot more multifaceted, involving marketing and sales together. How do you manage your time when you have to create lots of content? And especially us as entrepreneurs, when we have to focus on selling at the same time, it's different compared to before when you have to sell and then afterwards somebody else will produce or take over the account. How do you manage everything when you have to manage existing clients and you have to sell, you have to do marketing as well?
You could tell I exhaled. There was a big sigh there while I was listening to that because everything you said is true. I do have a team. I'm in my office and I have people working for me out there. And so you might actually hear the phone ring while we're talking because I am in a professional office of my own. Um, they support me. We're truly in this together. They see me as a leader of design, and we work as a collaborative team to build environments and create solutions for our clients. But I am the marketing engine of the business. I take that part of the business very personally because I quite protective of my brand voice. And the way that my company is portrayed is very, very pivotal to me. So I probably spend 50% of my time at least in marketing, um, and writing articles and interacting with people on LinkedIn, because instead of just pushing out a ton of content, I actually really try to interact with people on their level too and express my opinion about what they're posting and learn about them as well, so that the relationship is double sided, not just one sided. You
Mm-hmm.
find in marketing, there's a lot of people who just spit out content without ever really interacting with the people that they're talking to. And I think that that's a missed opportunity. So I spend a lot of time getting to know people that I'm talking to on any forum, whether it be my own website or LinkedIn or Facebook.
Totally agree with you. Do you mind sharing with us maybe a sales story, a success story that that you have that really kind of kind of demonstrated exactly that sales journey you have with somebody from the beginning, maybe just like beginning not knowing each other to them deciding to work with you.
I have a great example of that actually just happened recently. So, um, I would say a majority of my personal time in marketing is spent on LinkedIn, because I'm looking for people that are business owners or leaders that have the ability to make a decision at the level that I'm working at. And so those people are not on LinkedIn every day. They're busy running their own businesses, right?
In a
And
boardroom.
that's right. And so I have to think about content that will capture their attention in small, bite-sized chunks. And then to show up consistently, because I know that they're not going to be there just waiting for me to show up, right? And talking about whatever is important to me that day. So I actually got a call from a an owner of a construction company. So he's in my industry, right? Just another arm of my industry. And he started construction on a new office of his own, up in the LA area, pre COVID. And then during COVID, they had to scale back a little bit, because of their own shortage of staff. And when they came back to their project, their previous design firm had gone out of business.
Oh no.
And so he felt like he was sort of up a creek without a paddle. And he knew me from looking at my posts on LinkedIn over the last few years. And so he reached out to me and said, "Hey, I know you don't know me, but I know you. I've been watching your posts and I like your style. And I think that you would be a good fit if you're willing to jump in and help me solve this problem." And so once I heard about what phase of the project he was in, he was still sort of in the beginning phases. I realized I could help him a lot, and that we could work together not only on his project, but then build a relationship where he and I can work on future projects together once we finish this one. And so we're now on our third office for him. And this relationship just started probably 3 months ago. So it's really grown quickly.
Wow, what a story. And I love the fact that people have to recognize when we do marketing and sales, it's about building relationship. It doesn't mean that you are going to close sales right away. Even when we decided to reach out to potential prospects and we want to, a lot of people would assume that they're going to try to close sales in third call. They would create some kind of message sequence and hoping to close sales after 3 or 4 outreach. It's about opportunity to build relationship, exactly like what you're doing. The person has been following you for years, and then now I'd assume that it's been a very successful business relationship for you.
It was surprising for me because my style is so less funnel related than most sales cycles, right? I would say my funnel is really big, if that's what you want to call it, because the cycle can last for so long. Um, and truly what it feels from my aspect is that I'm out there, constantly creating content and interacting with people, and I never really know who's listening, right? Because this person who hired me had never reacted to any of my previous posts. It wasn't like a relationship that I was aware of.
Yeah.
So I was creating this relationship with someone that was a mystery to me until he popped up and needed my help. And that was really a lesson for me, that you never know who's listening,
You never know.
and that creating great content always pays off, even if it doesn't feel like it in the moment.
Yeah, I love this. And for a lot of entrepreneurs, creating content can be such a daunting task because you have to create content days in and days out. Do you have any suggestions, advice for entrepreneurs, busy, overwhelmed entrepreneurs, when we know, hey, we got to create content, when we got to build relationships? But it feels a lot, like it's a lot. And sometimes we simply have nothing to say. Like it's hard to have that inspiration. Any suggestions and tips for entrepreneurs?
I use my real life day to day experiences. I talk to people like they're already my friends. I share things that I'm dealing with that day. For instance, today we have a project where we're installing a 16-foot wide moss wall, right? It's this big living green wall. And actually, the product looks like this. It's right behind me, right? So it's this spongy
Oh,
kind of moss,
beautiful.
right?
Yeah.
But it's 16 feet wide. So basically, I just use whatever I'm doing that day as a jumping board to, hey, this is a really neat product we're working with. We have this challenge, we had to get it in before noon because our client had a meeting, and here's what happened. So that's really it. I am myself. I don't try to fit any certain mold. I don't the only strategy I use is I'm real. I use my brand voice every single time I post. I post in bite-sized chunks so that it's not just me vomiting information on people. And I always give them a way to link up with me afterwards.
Mhm.
So for me, whether that's my website or a giveaway, or I use a service called about.me, which is sort of like a feature page for my website that leads to a funnel. That really helps me a lot because it's a warm and friendly way. Instead of saying, "Hey, take my ebook," or "read this huge article," I give people an opportunity to just take information as they have time. And if they click on my link, the way that I communicate with them on any one of my other channels, like about.me, is the same as the way I would communicate on LinkedIn. Lots of pictures, bite-sized chunks, and quick and easy solutions to problems that they can utilize.
hmm I especially love the fact that you talked about authenticity, and it's such an important topic that we need to address in sales. A lot of times, women hate selling because they feel like, they're being fake, they're being pushy. How do you create that authentic voice? We talked a lot about your brand voice and your authentic voice. How do you find your brand voice and authentic voice when, you're surrounded by tons of people creating content? It could feel overwhelming when you're looking at everybody creating content. How do you find your authentic voice?
Well, I guess for me, that part is the easy part because I'm doing something I believe wholeheartedly in. I know firsthand how what a difference we make in people's work life environments, and I wholeheartedly believe in what I do. And so the information that I share, I think is really interesting. So that that's helpful. It's visual. It's I always have pictures and videos to share. I'm an avid picture taker. So even if I'm sharing things in progress that aren't finished yet, I do that a lot with my audience. So I give them an inside look into the reality of what I'm doing.
Mhm.
And I think that actually really helps me a lot because um, they have this feeling of they already understand the process once they start working with me. So it's less, when I say, oh, we have a problem, but we have a solution, they trust me because they've seen me go through that process already, either in my posting or on my videos. And they know that that's part of the benefit of hiring me. That, yes, there will be problems along the way because things happen on a construction site, but I will be there to help you get through it. And this is how I've done it in the past. And so just being sharing information, whether it's the good, the bad, the ugly, I think sharing that up front and letting people know, hey, it happens, but I'm here for you. And when there's a problem, I will always come with a solution that we can talk about. That leads to them depending on me and trusting me. And so I just I lead with it. I lead with the truth. I lead with authenticity. And people, either they're going to love it or they're not going to vibe with you and they'll find another solution that works for them. But I think selling that way truly means that I align with an audience that gets me. And then our relationship tends to be easier from the get go.
That is amazing. From what I got, there's a lot of, if you want to figure out how to sell with authenticity, finding your purpose and try to figure out why you're doing what you do is the first step, because that's basically a foundation of everything. I always believe that sales is one of the most important aspects of your business, because when you're in front of your prospects, your ideal clients, and when they say yes and no, you got to figure out, is this how I want to deal with my business? What do I want to create? What kind of business do I want to create? When you are very clear with that purpose, and then what you're saying is telling that story, own your story and tell that story. The two combined becomes this authentic voice that allows you to just kind of, hey, here's who I am, this is what I'm doing every single day. And that, I think that is the best way to connect with your ideal clients.
Absolutely. Our clients are putting their faith and trust in us to guide them through a very expensive and difficult process. And we are working with, sometimes tens and hundreds of vendors at a time. When we completed this large office recently, we had over 40 vendors for one office space. And beyond, with furniture and flooring and artwork and lighting, all of the elements that come together. Truly, what I do is I feel like I'm in a hand holding kind of relationship with my client where I'm sharing options. I'm telling them the value of each and every choice that we're making on their behalf. And then I ask for their input. Do you have any questions? Is there anything that you don't understand? And if they need more research or they need to feel more comfortable about a decision that they're making, then I go to work and make sure that my team and I provide that, because I want them to feel like they made the best decision ever when they purchase items from us. And that helps me avoid all the back end issues too, right? Punch lists in my industry can be a nightmare and very expensive. So it's really important for me to try to solve as many of those problems up front as possible.
I love that. So for anybody who's thinking about their business, and sometimes they feel discouraged and they feel like, hey, they might not be great in sales. They'll never be good in sales. They hate it. They find it yucky. They can't stand it. What would be your advice to them? You seem to love this journey so much, and you sometimes, I don't know, do you ever get rejected? And what are your thought
Gosh.
process? How do you manage your mindset,
You
right?
know, I think a really good example of this is with my team. I have a team of creative, mostly women in the office, who feel that design is an artistic expression. And they very much feel that sales is icky, to use your word. And so I just share with them that we're not selling, we're creating opportunities for our clients to be successful. And the way that we're doing that is by researching the very best options that they have in front of them and then sharing that with them. And we become a tool for their success. And so once my team understands that they're sharing in a big picture vision, that it's not just selling, a chair or office furniture, it's helping their team be more successful, comfortable, efficient, and effective. And they're really, they see the results at the end of a project. So once they get through a sales cycle with me and they get to the finish line with a happy and just overjoyed client, that feeling is something that you're going from a plan on a piece of paper to a real environment that you can walk through. There's nothing like it. And the designers really intrinsically start to understand the value role that they're playing in someone else's business. And then it's less about sales and it's more about sharing expertise.
I love it. And a lot of times, if anybody's listening and you feel yucky about sales, just remember sales is not about using specific sentence to trick people from buying to you. It's about finding the real win-win relationship, just like what you said. It's that win-win opportunity. If you're helping your clients in a true, genuine way, naturally they'll pay you for it so that you can continue to provide this service. So it is a simple win-win relationship that both will benefit. And
Absolutely.
the sales process is about discovering and how to work together and achieve a common goal. So the way you put it, I'm sure it's a lot easier to think of sales than just thinking about, oh, what should I say to try to get people to buy from me.
I think our clients never, I know our clients never feel that way because we spend a lot of time learning about them and really digging into what do they need and what do they like and how do they function and how can we make them better and more successful by offering the right solutions. And so when we ask enough of those questions up front, then they truly see us as a partner in their success as opposed to a salesperson.
Yeah, I love it. And so we talked a lot about strategies and the best way to connect with clients. And now I just want to ask you some final questions. But the first thing I have is what happens when you feel down and if you're rejected, especially by a huge deal? Like we've all gone through it. There's maybe one opportunity you really want to get, and you guys work many months, hours to try to send out perfect proposal, and sometimes you don't get selected. Like how do you manage your mindset to stay positive?
I think that's a great question. I mean, picking yourself up quickly and dusting yourself off is the way to get to the finish line faster on the next deal. But I always want to learn if there was something I could have done better. So I go back and I do a little bit of the investigating if I
Mhm.
can to get information on who did you select and what did they do or say or present that made a difference to you, to make them the right fit. And doing that sort of investigation, if they share the information with me, it's a 50-50. Sometimes I can't get the information, but if they do, it's a learning opportunity for me so that I can see how they perceived what we share with them. And I certainly don't think we're a fit for everyone. And I know that the right clients always appear. And so when there's an opportunity that we don't get, I see that as an open door for the next right fit.
Perfect.
I really don't see it as a loss. I see it as, okay, it's just making room for the next deal that's going to come my way. And they always do. I try not to, lick my wounds too much because I want to be ready for the next opportunity. So my mindset is really, really important, especially as a leader of a company. I want to make sure that I don't bring a downer attitude into the office. So one of the things that we actually do here is we have a mindset check before we walk through the front door. Every single day, I have the staff, before they walk through the door, brush off anything that they're dealing with from their personal life, do a little a little happy
Happy
dance.
death.
And when they walk through the door, they need to say hello with a smile and start fresh. And truly, that sets the tone for the rest of our day.
Mm-hmm. Love it. Love it. And thank you so much for sharing with us. I think a lot of us can really learn a lot from your story. And I think what I got from your story is being authentic. Just always be ready to share your story and be authentically you. And the right clients, like you said, the right clients will appear. Well, Tamara, this is the end of our podcast, and I want to thank you so much for sharing your tips with us. And for anybody who would like to connect with Tamara, I will link her LinkedIn profile here. So make sure to connect with her. She's also shared with us a site where you can find lots of free resources if you want to get to know more about her business and what she does. And just remember, selling is about being authentic, sharing your story, and creating those win-win relationships. And I will speak with you next time. Bye, Tamara, and bye,
Thank you,
everyone.
Melinda.